How can a frequency table or histogram help you organize and analyze data? Think about this question during the lesson. Mr. Maxwell timed the cross-country team in a 2-mile run and recorded the times in the table shown. He wants to analyze the runners' times. How can Mr. Maxwell organize the data? Mr. Maxwell can set up time intervals for the data and then count the number or frequency of times for each interval. A frequency table shows the number of times a value occurs in each category or interval. Look at the intervals of running times shown in the frequency table. How do they compare? Each interval is the same amount of time, 2 minutes. Organize the data in the frequency table. Why do you think the frequency table displays the data using intervals of data values? Each running time occurs only once, so making the frequency table using single data values would not be very helpful in analyzing the data. Use the frequency table to make a histogram. A histogram is a graph that uses bars to show the frequency of numerical data. Step 1. Title the graph. Step 2. Choose the scale for the vertical axis. Step 3. List the time intervals along the horizontal axis. Step 4. Display the data by drawing a bar for each interval. The bars of a histogram always touch. What does the histogram show? The histogram shows that the greatest number of team members had times in the middle interval, with a few running a little faster and some running a little slower. How are a histogram and a bar graph alike? How are they different? Now you know how a frequency table and a histogram can help you organize and analyze data.
This histogram shows a different way to represent Mr. Maxwell's data. Fill in the boxes with appropriate times and shade the bars for the last 3 intervals. How have the intervals changed?
If we look at the intervals now, we have 14 to 14, 59 seconds, 15 to 15, 59 seconds. So now instead of it being 2 minutes, it's now reduced to 1 minute intervals. So we have to complete the rest. So this one would be 16 and 59. This one would be 18. And that's supposed to be a dot. Okay, that's not, doesn't look right. So I'll just leave that. Okay, and then the next one would be 19 to 1959. And then now we, it says to shade in the rest of the histogram for those for the bars. So we have for 17 to 59, there are 3 times there. Then we look at 18 to 1859, and we look at the times again, and we have 1 time fits in this interval. And then we look at the last time, 19 to 1959, and we have another 1 time that fits that interval. And so then now we have completed this histogram with the intervals and the rest of the histogram is drawn in, the bars are drawn in. And that's it.
Zach surveys a group of middle school students and asks them how many texts they sent yesterday. The table shows the results.
Zach's question must be free of bias for it to produce truthful data. So A, is the greatest number of texts sent between 60 and 79? The answer is no. The greatest frequency is 11, which corresponds to students who sent 60 to 79 students. However, the greatest number of texts sent is between 80 and 99. B is the least number of texts sent between 20 and 39. No, the least frequency is 4, which corresponds to the 20 and 39 texts. However, the least number of texts is 0 to 19. So neither one of these would be the right answer to answer the greatest or least number of texts. Use the frequency table to make a histogram of the data. So I'm going to use this program here. So first, let's see, how does this work? Okay, so it moves like that. All right, so we have 0 to 19, 20 to 39, 40 to 59, 60 to 79, 80 to 99. And then the frequency is here. So we have to reflect that on our bar graph. So the first would be 0 to 19. That's going to be 5 people. 20 to 39 text is going to be 4 people. 40 to 59 is going to be 10 people. 60 to 79 is 11. That's just above here. Oh, it doesn't go above that. Okay, and then 80 to 89 would be 8 people. Okay, and then let's see, it doesn't let you change the bottom. So these at the bottom of the histogram should have the intervals that we were referring to when creating the bar graph. So, yeah, so the question then now is, well, we made a histogram. But again, like I said, these intervals need to be written underneath here. It's not allowing me to do that. But that's what should be written underneath each of the bars.
The histogram shows the number of points that Kendra scored during each basketball game she played last season. Part A. How many games did Kendra play last season?
We can look at the data here. That's of her points scored. The total number of games can be found by adding the number of games shown on each bar. So these are the number of games. So this bar represents 3 games. This bar represents 6 games. This bar represents 2 games. This bar represents 1. So you add them all up and you get 12. So she played in a total of 12 games. And that's how we were able to use that histogram to answer the question. Now it says how many games did Kendra score from 5 to 9 points? Well, we look at our histogram, look at that interval, and there's no bar. So that means she did not score any points, 5 to 9 points. She either scored less or more than 9 points. Does the histogram show the mode of the number of points Kendra scored in the games. Let's see. That would have to be a no, because on the histogram there are intervals. So remember from the previous lesson that mode is the value that appears more than once. Well, we don't know the exact value within these intervals that appeared more than once. We just know she scored within that interval or range of numbers. So there will be no way for us to know the mode unless we know each individual points in these intervals that she scored.